Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Jake and this is the Skyrim Ultimate Ironman Challenge. Before we get started with this video, I just wanted to give a sincere thank you to everyone who watched, liked, and subscribed after the last video. My channel is a very small channel and we grew double our numbers off the last video. So thank you to everyone and I appreciate the support. So let's get started. I plan on getting some potions made and to work on smithing to increase that level. I want to try to get to Dwarven as quick as we possibly can. But first, of course, when we wake up, we're offered a level up. I spent some time looking around at the different smithing perks. Like I said, I'd like to get Dwarven, but since we don't have enough, I decided not to take any perk at all. We went out to search for potion supplies first, as health was a huge risk at the end of the last video, I felt like. But of course, not before we took a moment and ate our apple cabbage stew. While approaching a farm to look for potion supplies, we end up getting harassed by another courier. He has a letter from the Jarl of Valkyrie. The letter mentions that he wants to meet us face to face, which we already did that. Now, you may think this is a break in continuity, but actually the Jarl's a jerk, so this really fits his character. We ended up gathering some wheat and blue mountain flowers on this trip. I believe we got a butterfly or two, but I wasn't able to locate that footage. So we headed back to Riften quick. Off of that short trip, we were able to get enough supplies to craft 10 potions. We actually had 6 butterflies. I don't know how I couldn't find any of the footage. When I went to make the potions, I realized that Riften doesn't have a smelter, so that's going to be a problem for us. We were not going to be able to stay in Riften very long, basically. Yeah, so if we can just take a second here, I want to actually kind of just break down a little bit about this challenge. So I think in the first video, I didn't do a very good job of, or not a good enough job of explaining why this challenge is actually, well, challenging. In this challenge, every time you spend perk points in your smithing, or if I were to spend them in alchemy, which alchemy, by the way, falling behind, my potions aren't nearly as effective as I'd like them to be. But if you put points in anything that doesn't increase your combat capabilities, then you're not actually getting any stronger. But since you leveled up, the world's going to continue to get stronger. What makes this challenge challenging is the fact that you have to find a way to balance increasing your skills while at the same time increasing your combat capabilities. With only having one life, you also have to make really good decisions the entire challenge, because even one mistake could put you in a place you can't come back from. Also, every time you take a book that increases a stat that isn't a stat you're actually using, you work towards another level up without actually gaining anything. I hope that all this makes sense. It's not that Skyrim and Expert is difficult or that the combat itself is hard. It's that the rule sets, you don't improve the rate at which you would theoretically need to in order for you to keep up with enemies, in my opinion at least. Looking for places to mine, we almost get mauled by a bear.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
And then get attacked by wolves, not once and not twice, but 3 different times. Riften's so crazy that after that, a deer tried to attack me. A deer. After all the craziness, we finally get some mining done. I'm not going to actually make you watch the mining this time around. I think you understand from the first video how the mining goes, so we're going to skip it from like pretty much this point forward. We came across another one of those stones, and I don't really understand why in my brain I keep going to these, because the last one was such a waste of our time. So this one has a conjurer, and he summoned a flame atronaut. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not feeling too confident heading into this thing. I decided we got to focus on the conjurer, obviously, and try to dodge fireballs. We end up getting behind this rock, and it goes pretty well. But then he starts healing himself, so then I have to use potions, because what else can we do? There's also a bone dog, which, you know, why not? So, or bone wolf. So we take out the conjurer, which takes care of the Atronaut, which is good. But now we have to deal with this wolf, so, you know, that's just more potions we had to waste. Ultimately, this entire experience is just a waste of resources. I really have to stop doing things like this, honestly. It's just not helping. So moving forward, we come across a place called Crystal Drift Cave, and at this point, I'm really just hoping that we get something out of this and aren't wasting a bunch of time and resources. It's just 3 wolves in here. It's really easy to handle, and then there's a bunch of mining that can get done, so I'll leave that to not a montage. At this point, the only way to progress in this challenge is to head back to Whiterun. So that's what we're going to have to do.
Climb and back, and we'll be
Psych! We're going to go down to the Ratway. And with these potions, I'm not worried about the first guy. Though I am a little worried, so we're going to try to hit him with fire from a distance first, which I noticed that his health's already still low from when we fought him the first time, which gives me more confidence. He pops a heal, but it really doesn't end up mattering. We got potions to spare, and he ain't got nothing going on. Then we rush down the archer. He's got more health than I honestly expected him to have, and just being cautious, I went ahead and popped a potion, but after a good 7 or 8 hits, we take him out pretty easily. Moving forward into the Ratway, I noticed there's quite a lot of traps that you have to worry about. Things like spikes and fire pits. It's not a good place you really want to hang out in, that's for sure. It kind of reminds me like if you were to hang out in an abandoned building that was overtaken by meth heads. Speaking of meth heads, we come across a guy called the Fist. Now, to me, if you're coming at me with no weapon, you're either extremely strong or completely insane. Luckily, this guy was completely insane. He has some pretty cool armor that I couldn't take. I found a bed with some mead, but none of it was Blackbriar mead. It was all Nord mead, which was useless. And then we find the ghost, and we're supposed to follow it, but we get distracted pretty much immediately because we find a cage with a skeever in it, and so we have to go find the key. Coming around the corner, there's a guy to fight. He's got a mace, so we try to keep an eye out on him just in case, but he's not named or anything. He's a pretty easy fight. We keep our health up as much as we can, and we just kind of take him out. Then on a dead body, we find the key to Scritch's cage. Then we go open up the boy. He is my new best friend. Just listen to him purr, man. He loves me, man. That's my boy. So then I decided, yeah, I might as well check out what's going on with this ghost. So we come in this dark little tunnel, and then it's something about the ghost with the mist. I'm like, nah, let's not. So then we just leave the Ratway altogether. We didn't really need the meat anymore. We were just redeeming what we did in the last video, which I think we did successfully. Then we leave Riften because we don't need to be here. We're going to head back to Whiterun. Typically, I've been ending the days at around 8 or 9 p.m., and it's about 6 p.m. right now. So we're going to go ahead and go to Whiterun, and then I'm going to do some crafting before we actually officially end the day, just to make the editing a little bit simpler on this one. So the thing about Whiterun is once we get here, we know we need to get our smithing up to 30 in order to do Dwarven. And so we start off by smelting the stuff that we mined while we were in Riften. And then we start by making jewelry. And then we switch over after we use up all the silver we have to start making iron daggers. And we are able to hit the 30. And then we go to the inn and we rent our room and we go to sleep the end of the night. So starting day 2, we go ahead and take stamina as our attribute point on level up, and then we go ahead and we get that smithing perk I was talking about. We got to be ready to make Dwarven. And then we move over and we take our leftover point from yesterday's level up, and we take a heavy armor point just to increase our survivability some. Oh, and we eat our apple cabbage stew, of course. It's at this point after our breakfast that talking to our boy Scritch that I realized that he might have a little bit of a kleptomania problem. He stole some wine. It's at this point when I'm trying to decide what to do next that we get stopped by a courier. These dudes always be harassing you.
I've been looking for you.
He gives us a letter from the Dawn Guard, which we're not doing that right now. No way. So we have the option of either going to try to mine, or not mine, but get the stuff to make Dwarven armor, or we can go to Falkreath and try to start working on the house. Now, I'm pretty sure going to a Dwemer ruin will get us murdered at this point, so we go ahead and we're going to head back to Falkreath. Oh, I said we were going to go to Falkreath, but that was before I realized that there was bandits in Helgen, and there's not really a reason for me to have gone here and taken them out. Like, I don't gain anything from this, but it does do a really good job of showing just how far progression has come against standard bandits, because we just kind of, I mean, honestly, every single person here we just wipe out. Like, we took 3 people out back there. We take this archer out in like 2 hits. It's so unsatisfying she didn't fall off. And then here there's a mage with the group, and, a guy with a shield, and there's a 2-handed guy back there. We're getting zapped by lightning, but we take all 3 of these people out with no problems just as well. It's a good confidence builder, because I did spend some time earlier talking about how much more difficult this challenge gets, and that's true, but This is just good. So after we go ahead and heal up, we actually go to Falkreath this time. On our arrival in Falkreath, we go ahead and we go straight to see the Jarl. We're hoping that he'll just give us the ability to buy a house, but of course, he can't do that. So he asked us to do him a favor first. He wants us to take out some bandits that he has been getting some money from that are, they're not paying him the way he wants anymore. This guy is honestly the worst, but we gotta go do what he asks. So after we go ahead and accept the quest, we're good to go on and get out of here and go to Knife Point Ridge. As we approach Knife Point Ridge, I decide I'm going to go ahead and do something that you can only really do in Skyrim. So I'm going to hit him with the flanking maneuver. I'm going to climb up the back of the mountain. If you were paying close enough attention there, you would have saw that I actually clipped through the ground. You know, it's really just Skyrim stuff, isn't it? But once we get into Knife Point Ridge, it's really not that bad. There's a handful of bandits in here. Bandits, as I mentioned when we were in Helgen, they're really just standard bandits, just are nothing to me at this point. So all these bandits in Knife Point that I think they're going to rush us down, they're really no problem. Just like that, we took out 2. One-handed increase to 44. We take out the 3rd. Bam, there's the 4th. There's, what, 2 more? He hits us with an arrow. That's nothing. These archers, they got to stop. Guest appearance made by Scritch there. This one's a 2-handed one. Always makes us a little nervous, but it really was nothing. Moving further into Knife Point Ridge, because the quest is not complete yet. These bandits are taking a nap in the middle of the day. That's their first mistake. This one, mage, but as you can see, mages aren't giving us the trouble they were giving us in the first episode, that's for sure. Do this again here in a second. The next section of Knife Point Ridge here. Another mage. This one's using ice. Once again, just stomped. The area of this is called Knife Point Mine, which obviously is a mine. There's a bandit chief down here, so I try to take it, you know, as serious as I can. I'm keeping the shield up, trying to keep my distance, respect. She may be pretty strong. As you can see, though, our damage output compared to hers, we're doing really, really well. And we end up just getting it done. At this point, I would like to give a shout out to one of the commenters in the last video. Shout out to Twisted5576 for letting me know that I could just attack the ore with the pickaxe equipped instead of going through the entire animation. This, I feel like, saved me a lot of time and boredom in this challenge. So thank you very much. And for everyone else who commented, you're all great. But look, I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch me mine. So let's just go ahead and move on. We're going back to Falkreath. Run the map animation. So, of course, upon returning to Falkreath, we have to go straight back to the Jarl and turn this quest in. So we're going to go over there first. We start talking to the Jarl. I still don't like this guy one bit. He gives us gold, which is pretty cool. And then he also gives us the ability to buy the house. But it costs 5,000 and we don't have 5,000. So we go ahead and take the quest for becoming a Thane, which requires us to help 3 people who live in Falkreath. Might start doing that, but I remember that I picked up a quest earlier about the blacksmith missing a dog, so I decided I was going to go talk to him about it. This leads us down kind of a weird rabbit hole, so we start walking outside of the city, following the quest marker, and we're approached by a talking dog.
Exactly what I was looking for.
So the long and short of it on this one is the dog asks us to follow him, try to talk to his old master or something. Basically, we're going to skip to a map animation. This dog takes us on a freaking journey. Heading into this and approaching our destination, I'm a little bit nervous. This dog has taken us through quite a lot. I didn't put it in here, but we fought like some saber-tooths and some crazy stuff. So we go ahead and we head in, and immediately he starts fighting vampires, and now I'm like, oh god, this is what this is going to be. But we got this dog to tank for us, so I'm just hoping everything's going to be okay. Moving into the second vampire fledgling, this dog is not really the type to wait on us at all. In fact, every single fight, he's like already moving on ahead before I even gotten a chance to get a hold of my surroundings usually. On a side note, we're definitely contracting vampirism after this. This is a full-on vampire we're fighting. Skyrim News Network. News you can trust. Taking a break from the action to bring you the news. Well, Bob, we've heard from 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 families at this point that, yeah, people just aren't eating the apple cabbage stew that they should be eating. It's healthy and nutritious. You might be wondering why I just didn't take that out of the video. The news is important, all right? So we got a couple more vampires we got to check out. Thrall, Fledgling. Really, with them focusing on Barnabas, it's not that big of a deal. Have I mentioned that the dog's name is Barnabas? It doesn't really matter. We do a pretty good job taking out the vampires here, with Barnabas's tanking, and maybe we won't contract vampirism. I don't know. Now, if you thought the vampires were, you know, bad, why not throw a spider in there too? You know, if getting your life literally sucked out of you isn't a big enough problem, why not also be poisoned? That's probably enough joking around for now. Let's just go ahead and hit a montage. So basically at the end here is when we find out that Clavicus Vile is the old owner that Barnabas was having you look for. Also, I realized it said Barnabas before and his name's Barnabas, and I was too lazy to edit that out. So if you've already corrected me in the comments, I understand. So he wants us to go do something for him. We have to go find something. I'm over it. We're probably not finishing this quest. At this point, it's like 11:30 p.m. in game time, so we really need to end the day and go to sleep before, you know, we get ourselves killed or something. So we leave, and then I start looking around, and I end up finding this alchemist shack not too far from where we were at, and I'm just hoping that it's not dangerous or anything, which I don't see any red dots on the map, so I think we're good. We get in there, there's a bunch of alchemy supplies, there's a bed. After reading the journal, we realize that there's our new best friend, Thistle. So now we have 2 best friends. We started this episode with 0, now we've got 2. We then harvest some of the supplies around this shack, and we make a couple potions, and then after that, it's time to end the day. So after a short rest, we take stamina as our attribute point, and then we take blocking perk because, I don't know, I mean, survivability is pretty important. Then our stomach growls, and we have to eat our staple breakfast, apple cabbage stew, delicious and nutritious. And then we're going to move back to Falkreath, and we're going to work on the helping the villagers of Falkreath quest because we're not moving on to this Barnabas thing. I'm pretty sure he's going to get us killed. Once we arrive back at Falkreath, we head over to the Dead Man Drinks bar. We talk to a man named Dengir who tells us that he thinks there's a plot against him. He used to be the Jarl of Falkreath. He wants us to break into Lod's house, which I don't know how comfortable I am breaking into someone's house, but we go ahead and we do it anyway. Inside Lod's house, we find a letter of the plot, and then we bring it back to Dengir to help our first member of Falkreath. It's at this point that we do something that's probably incredibly stupid. Instead of just helping 2 more normal people around town, we decide we're going to go on Dengir's little quest. And as you see on the map here, he wants us to take out vampires not too far from where we're at. So we're going to go ahead and head out, and that's what we're going to do. So we head in here, and we are being a little bit cautious because I'm not sure we should be here, to be honest with you. So we're just kind of taking a stock of our surroundings and then almost get burnt to a crisp. So now we got to wait for this to stop burning.
A few moments later.
So we move forward, and we picked up a Conjure Undying Ghost spell at some point, and I'm not sure when we picked it up, but it's something we have, and so we are going to use that to try to help tank as we move through here. I'm hoping that'll keep us alive. I really don't know what I was thinking when I was playing this, because we really shouldn't probably be here. So we have a few vampire thralls and fledglings and things like that to take out here at the very beginning. Using the Undying Ghost is a little bit of a distraction, and then just getting damage in while they focus on him. We're able to take him out real easy. And then our first indication that this is not somewhere we should be happens. A gargoyle busts out, and we fall back, try to use the ghost as a little bit of a tank like we were doing with the vampires, but this gargoyle's got a ton of health. Like, I'm hitting him, and it's not doing a lot of damage. Use the ghost as much as we can, and just get in there. It's working pretty well until the ghost dies, and then we start taking some serious damage, and we have to start using up some of our potions. It's a lot of resources just for one gargoyle, and again, this should have been my indication to just get out of here. I don't know what I was thinking. Take the gargoyle out, and then there's another vampire behind him. I was going to try to just take him out without healing, but it's just too dangerous, so we use a few more potions. Then I decided it's time to just summon the ghost back. With the ghost tanking for us, we're able to pretty easily just get in there and get the job done. Part of the problem with using the ghost, though, is that it takes up all of our magic, which means we aren't able to use our heal spell, and we only can use our potions as a healing resource. That, of course, doesn't stop me from trying, as you can see. In the next area, we do find some potions on a shelf, which is nice. Replenish some of our stock, and then hopefully that'll help us survive through this thing. Before we move on to the next fight, I take a moment and I let my magic fill all the way up so we can use our ghost. I come into this with the same strategy as the last area, which is that I'm just going to use the ghost as a tank, and then I'm going to go in and get the damage in while they're focusing on him. The first two vampires, not really a problem. The next group has 3, I think, vampires, and one of them runs away right off the bat. One of them's got a bow, and the other one is just doing vampire stuff. I make a mistake here where I let myself get ahead of the ghost, so I end up doing the tanking, which costs us some of our potions as resources. We do a pretty good job of taking these guys out. Even with that fact, it's just a little bit annoying. At least that's what I thought was going to happen while I was playing. So after I use a few more potions here, I turn, and what do I see? A gargoyle who also takes out our ghost. So this is going to be a problem. This is going to take a lot of our resources. This is not a good position to be in at all. Like, at this point, I'm kind of freaking out. I don't want the run to be over. So I pop a magic potion, and I decide I'm going to pull the ghost back out. My hope is that the ghost will do the tanking for us with the gargoyle like it's worked before on all the other enemies. The issue is that we are running low on potions, and without potions, there's a good chance we die to this gargoyle. Especially if he doesn't switch off to the ghost, which he hasn't so far. So we try to use our shield with a little bit of shield bash to interrupt his attacks, and it works for the most part until it really doesn't. The gargoyle also seems to have a health stealing effect, and it's at this moment that we use our very last potion. And I'm just kind of like sitting here thinking of like, how do I get out of this situation without dying? And I'm looking through all my potions, and I'm like frantically thinking, I'm like, okay, so if I give myself some magic, we conjure a stronger ghost because we didn't have full magic on the last one. This was really stupid. You see our health is so low. And I have no potions. So how do we get out of that situation is my next question. And I'm like, okay, maybe I give myself magic, and then I'll be able to heal. Do we have any other type of healing? If we switch to restoration in both hands and we start healing, do we have time to heal before we die? These are all the things that are going through my head. I end up remembering that food is good for more than just hunger, and I just start eating everything that isn't cabbage or apples. I just try to get as much health back as I can. We're in a really bad. You're in a bad spot when you're eating food to stay alive. Health-wise and not just hunger-wise. After all that panic, the gargoyle has finally switched to the ghost, so we are able to get in there while his back's turned, and we're going to be able to actually get some damage in and not have to worry about dying on this one. This is the point where you could probably say that I'm an idiot, and we go from an ill-advised quest attempt to doing something truly stupid, because instead of leaving, I decide I'm going to continue to move on in this place. We do, however, find a bed so we can rest before we move on to the next fight and at least have our health and magic and everything back up. So, day 4. in sports, there's this concept of playing the game and not playing the occasion. Like when you're in a championship match, you should play the game and not play the fact that it's a championship. And what that basically means is don't make bad decisions just because of the circumstance of the situation. Like just because it's a big game doesn't mean you should let it get to your head. I definitely played the circumstance here as far as this is a YouTube video and I was trying to be as entertaining as possible. Why would you walk into this situation knowing you have no resources and knowing that a gargoyle showing up would probably end up with you killed? But instead, we went ahead and we did it. So we're going to summon the ghost and try to use him to tank because it's worked pretty well for us. And I don't know if at this point we've just had so many close calls that haven't killed us that I was just like super confident, or if I just thought this would be, you know, if we pulled out of it, it'd be really cool for the video, or if I'm just actually an idiot. I'm not sure which one of these things was the truth, but it looks like we have it under control as far as getting in here and getting it done. One of them even ran away from us. We came back, we take him out. And then the big guy comes down, and I'm thinking I have to figure out a way to take this guy out. And my health is low. And I don't have much magic. So I have the scroll blizzard, and I try to make that happen. And I don't realize that it takes the time to cast. And this is really, I mean, this frame tells you everything you need to know. We died. The run's over. And I feel so stupid for allowing something like this to happen. Being here made no sense, and there was no gain, and I don't know what I was thinking. So I apologize to anyone who might be disappointed. I'm a little disappointed that the run's over. We never even made it to Dwarven armor. But it's like I was saying. I mean, things are just going to continue to get harder and harder as we go. I don't know. This was rough. Look, I just wanted to take a moment at the end of this video, and I want to thank everyone for watching, and anyone who subscribed. Seriously, thank you. I've got some what I think are really cool ideas planned, and I appreciate anyone who watched and anyone who's going to stick around and watch video after this and the video after that. And seriously, thank you. So, oh, and be excellent to each other. Scritch, listen, hear me out. I know it's probably your cousin. Just Scritch, just look away. Just don't look. Sorry, buddy.